Elizabeth Anderson argues that racial integration is not just an issue that was resolved by the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. It's still an important goal to continue pursuing, despite objections from both the political right and the political left. According to Anderson, racial integration consists in the full inclusion and participation as equals of the members of all races in all aspects of social interaction, especially in the main institutions of society that define its opportunities for recognition, educational and economic advancement, access to public goods, and political influence. Integration happens in 4 stages: formal desegregation, spatial integration, formal social integration, and informal social integration. Anderson says that while formal desegregation was largely achieved by the civil rights movement, the other 3, and especially the 4th, informal social integration, have only been very imperfectly achieved. But we need to achieve integration at all 4 stages in order to actualize 3 types of goods: dignity, socioeconomic opportunity for marginalized racial groups, and democracy for us all. While conservatives claim to want integration in principle, they often claim that remaining segregation is due to voluntary black self-segregation. Anderson agrees, but claims that this is because blacks don't feel at home in white neighborhoods because of informal social segregation. Conservatives often claim that whites don't avoid black neighborhoods because of race, but because of crime and poverty. Anderson replies that this is due to unconsciously held negative stereotypes about blacks. Finally, conservatives sometimes claim that policies which actively promote integration are self-defeating. They might say, for example, that more racially integrated campuses experience more racial conflict and self-segregation. Anderson replies that this is because of the prejudicial attitudes that people bring with them. Studies show that integrated campuses produce students with more socially integrated lives. Integration also faces opposition from identity politics on the left. For example, Beverly Tatum claims that self-segregation is needed for individuals to develop psychologically healthy and mature racial identities. Iris Young argues that affiliating with one's own race for the purposes of mutual aid and culture building is morally permissible as long as the process of clustering does not exclude some people from access to benefits and opportunities. Amy McDonald says that racial self-segregation provides a locus for the generation of knowledge from racially distinctive perspectives, knowledge that is needed to counter racism. Anderson replies that even if we grant the benefits of self-segregation, it has drawbacks. Social integration is necessary for blacks to obtain the skills necessary to succeed in an integrated workplace. It's necessary for helping whites overcome their unconscious attitudes and habits of prejudice. And the demand to preserve particular cultural communities of meaning freezes culture in racialized cubicles, prevents its free appropriation by racial others, and, most importantly, prevents its free development by an integrated us. Important things to consider.